Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Shift. I'm Eric. Guys, today I have a special guest. This guy, he's a friend, but now he became a family. So, without saying too much, I'm gonna get him to introduce himself. And yeah, let's go. My brother, welcome to the channel, man.
Hey guys, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I think it's the first time we're seeing each other kind of face to face, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, for those who don't know me, my name is Thiago. I'm from Brazil with a Japanese background. That's why that's weird thing you may be thinking.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much about of myself.
What's our introduction, bro? Like, I never knew you have like a Japanese background, bro. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's for another video. Anyways, I want to know, yeah, like you growing up in Brazil. How was growing up in Brazil for you? Like, how was Brazil?
It's way different than in Africa. I've been seeing your videos. I've been editing your videos, and there's so much similarity of some problems that you guys face, but at the same time it's extremely different. For example, in Brazil, you have economic problems, the difference between in the society, the classes, right? But we don't have the same issues that you guys have facing in Africa, like civil wars or starvation, that kind of thing. But we do have problems with poverty, criminality, which is extremely high, especially in the big cities. Like for me, for example, I'm from São Paulo, and until I was very young, it wasn't an issue because, you're a kid, you have no idea of what's happening in the world. Everything looks so distant. But when you start to grow up and you start to understand the world and the society problems, then you start to see what's going on with that country, with the city, with the society itself. For example, for me, I was assaulted or robbed plenty of times at the point that I was going to study to the college with my father, something like that. We just left the house with the car, and as soon as we left, two guys came in and they opened the doors and they pointed a gun on the face of my father and say, get out of the car, give him the keys and blah, 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 that kind of thing, That's the kind of thing that you have to face in Brazil. It's too different. I would say that I kind of hate this aspect of Brazil, but at the other hand, you have like a beautiful place. It's like a tropical weather. It's pretty similar to where I am now, but it's a trick question. I never thought about how is growing up in Brazil because I never grew up in anywhere else.
I understand, bro. I understand you. I got your I understand. Look, the other thing I want to ask you, because we see Brazil is famous for playing soccer, yeah, like the boys. But we see most of them just like what you said, the similarity with Africa, it's kind of the same. Like people, most of these guys that make it in soccer, they talk about the hood, the favela, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to know, because in Africa too, we have similarity of the favela, but you might not be growing up in the favela, but you might have little ideas about favela. What would you say about kids growing up there? What are the disadvantages of the kids growing up there?
I think that is the major issue of Brazil, because you can see, like I said at the beginning, there's differences between social classes. For example, you have these people who lives in the favelas who are extremely poor. There's no decent sanitary conditions. They depend of the government for going to the school because they can't pay for study. On the other side, there are people that are extremely rich and they pay 2 or 5,000 Brazilian reals a month for their kids to study, while people who live in the favelas, they barely have enough money to buy food for themselves, And I think that's the biggest issue of being born and raised in a favela. Obviously, there are different types of favela in Brazil. They are more big communities. Others are more famous of being like a place for buying drugs and that kind of thing, criminality. It's hard to me to say how hard it is. Because I have a vision like being an outside from the favela. I wasn't born and raised in a favela. It's a very different reality. It's like it's two different separate worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So okay, now you grew up like you didn't grow up in the favela, but if I can get you to say something, like what advice will you give that kid that grew up there? Like they want to make it in life. They want to live like like the normal kid, but things are hard. But they want to live that life. So what advice will you give? Like what's words of encouragement will you give that?
I think the best advice is to invest in your study, invest in yourself, and run after whatever you want to achieve in your life. Because, for example, that's another, it might be a distorted vision of mine. But for example, you have some people that they all grow up in the favela in that poor condition, but some of them, they got a good job and they got decent career, I would say. So for me, my advice is like, if you're planning to get out of that place, you need to run for it, no matter what the conditions you have, because it's the same for me. For example, I would say that I'm medium class. I'm not the poorest one. I'm not the richest one. I'm in between, in the middle, and I'm not a type of guy that is super extremely well succeeded in life. Like there's people earning way much money than me, and they have this exact same conditions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's more like you can't depend on the others, like the government. You can blame the government, you can blame whoever you want. But at the end of the day, if you don't get what you want, it's your fault. Obviously, there's plenty of other factors in life and in the society that can affect the results of what you're doing. But I think it's more like many of the guys that you interviewed, I've seen all you guys being well succeeded now. And I started to think about, these guys, they have condition that was worse than people who were born and raised in Brazil. And look at them now. They tried their best, they run after whatever they want to achieve, they get a better life. And why you can't?
Yeah, I got you, man. 100% right. Okay, now, let's flip the page around, What makes you pack your bags and say, you know what, I want to face the world? What makes you pack your bags? Now, I want to know that one. I want to know why. Because you have the Copacabana beach, it's nice, the ladies are flowing. So what makes you pack your bag? You say, okay, you know what? Let me leave Brazil and face the world.
That desire, I think it started when I was pretty young. I've been assaulted and robbed so many times, and I started to get angry and kind of dislike Brazil, because of that. And I already had in mind that I don't want to be in Brazil anymore when I'm old, or I don't want to raise my kids here in this kind of condition, because I would be so afraid of something happening to them. That was one of the reasons that I decided to leave Brazil very early in my life. But life started to happen. I met my wife, I get married, and that dream started to be postponed year after year because I started to get comfortable with my condition, because I had a good job, I had succeeded in my career. But at the end of the day, I wasn't happy. I wasn't truly happy, because that wasn't my vision. Like when I was young, I was seeing myself exploring other country or living in other country. So in 2017, me and my wife, we went to Europe to travel. It was so different because we entered in contact with so many different cultures and so many different people, and we started to think why we need to stay working the whole year and have only 20 or 30 days to enjoy our lives. We repeated that kind of travel on 2018, 2019, and in 2019 we met a couple of Colombians, and they were doing exactly the same what we wished to do. They were in Ushuaia and they were riding their bikes back to Colombia. It was like a year and a few months already they were doing this. And I said, like, how do you do that? And they just told us, like, we're just facing each challenge at once. We don't think too much in the future, how we're gonna make money, how we're gonna live and that kind of thing. And we started to think like, oh, if they can do that, why we can't? As soon as we came back to Brazil, I started to do some researches about other countries that we could live and kind of work at the same time and study, because I knew that study exchange would be the easiest way to get out of Brazil and start a life in another country. So we had like Ireland, Canada, and Australia in our list. And I had some friends in Australia already. That's why we chose Australia, because it would be a little bit easier, because we wouldn't be like 100% alone, you know? If something happens, we would have some support. And we went to Australia in 2020 in March. And you know what happens in March.
You're the one that bring the COVID, yeah?
Yeah, it wasn't my fault, but yes. As soon as I enter Australia, they close the borders. Nobody get in, nobody get out, and it was really hard.
Okay. Man, what a journey, man. What a journey. So that I want to ask you, because I see so many people do this backpacking, yeah? I always wanted to ask them this quick question, like the challenges people face doing backpacking. So for you guys, what stand out for you guys, like the challenge you face, you and your wife doing backpacking? Something you've never done, you say, okay, you know what? You go into these countries, yeah? You don't know anyone, you can't speak the language, they might rob you, or this and that. So for you, what stand out for you? Like, what's that one challenge that stand out?
I wouldn't say there's not much challenges, because you're just traveling and enjoying, and whatever happens is just a funny story at the end. You know, like, I missed a train or I missed a plane, which happened twice, but it's not like because of miscommunication or that kind of thing. I would say that the biggest challenge is when you go to somewhere you have no idea of how to speak their language. For example, we went to France once and we went to the countryside, like small villages. Nobody speaks English, so it was a little bit harder to understand what they're talking and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you always have like Google Translator. You have ways to communicate with them, even not speaking a word of their language, you know? So yeah, that's the major challenge that we faced. I would say that's way different from when you decide to leave your country to actually live in another country, like when we left Brazil to move to Australia. It was a completely different thing, because when you're traveling, you're on vacations, you're still getting paid by your employers and that kind of thing. But when you move to another country, it's like starting from scratch. You have no job, you have no money, you have no place to live, you have nothing. You have no one sometimes. So it's really different. And jumping to Australia, I think the worst thing that we have to face was finding a job, because nobody knows you, you have zero credit score, you have no idea on how to write your CV and send to companies to get hired or something. You have no network, you have nothing. So that was the biggest challenge that we faced. So we started to search for websites that we could apply to a bunch of different job positions. We tried cleaning, we tried front of house on hospitality jobs, plenty of stuff, and we were refused in all of them at the beginning, especially because there was COVID and no one was hiring for nothing. So it was really, really hard to adapt and start getting money in Australia. more because of COVID, but at the same time, because of the reasons that I've already spoke before.
Man, what a man. Hey, you need to write a book, bro. Like, make a movie.
Yeah, in the future, maybe.
In the future. Okay, cool. Okay, now, like, I know you already talk about Australia, like the things you guys went to in Australia. But moving to Melbourne, moving to a new country, we all know, like, I've been in that situation too. Different language, different food. So how you living in Australia, yeah? Like, you guys are new. What about the family connection? How did you connect with your family?
For me, it was pretty easy to deal with that physical distance because I'm not so connected with my family. Obviously, I have connections, but it's not like I talk to them every day. I was living in another house, separate from my parents for 5 years already before moving to Australia. And since my 12, my father lost his job and they opened a shop and they were working every day and I was alone at home. So I had to grow up really, really fast and I had to learn how to do things by myself. It's not that I grew up by myself because obviously my father and my mother, they were providing the income and the resources for me to study, to eat and everything. But at the same time, I didn't create that much connection about let's sit and talk about my day and that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So for me, it was pretty easy to move to Australia. And whenever I need to talk, nowadays we have WhatsApp, you have Zoom, Google Meetings, doesn't matter. You have plenty of tools to see each other's face and talk to them. But in the other hand, my wife really, really suffered at the beginning because she is way different than me. She's way more connected with her family, with friends, and all those people who are around her all the time. So it was way harder to her. I had to stay with her plenty of times because she was crying, she was missing everyone. So it was hard in that point because we had to be supporting each other all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. Man, I keep coming back, yeah. I got the same thing as well, yeah. Because before I jump on to YouTube, I was thinking like writing a book, make a movie by my own, ups and downs. Yeah, man, Netflix will contact you, bro.
Yeah, it's so many different stories because we also have a YouTube channel where we talk about our lives. So for example, during COVID, we started to occupy our minds with a YouTube channel. So we created this channel to talk to other people and to show what we were living, the challenge we were facing, talking about our lives living in Melbourne. It's weird to say that, but we felt like we were talking to our families as well. Feels like doing the videos, it was a way to show to our families like, oh, look at us, we are pretty well here, we're doing this, we're doing that, the situation is not that bad, that kind of thing. And that led us to another point that we decided to start, let's start to give like tips to other Brazilians to wish to move to Australia and that kind of thing, doing study exchange or just moving because of they got a job in Australia, that kind of thing. Our content was not just for our families, but also for other people who wish to do the same as we were doing. And because of that, we created so many connections with so many different people. We kind of didn't felt so alone anymore, you know, because we were kind of digitally surrounded by people who were enjoying our content. They were talking to us either for thanking for the content, for the help that we were giving them, and also just for the entertainment by itself, because there was nothing to do at that time. So that was one way to avoid that loneliness of the family.
Okay, that's good, man. That's good. Okay, now I want to ask you about, because you said you guys try different jobs, yeah? I want to know, like, how were you like balancing all these jobs? Then you and your wife make time for each other. How did you balance all this? do this job, that job, that. How do you balance it?
When we came to Australia, one of the reasons was we wouldn't like to work as much as we used to work in Brazil. So for example, in Brazil, I was doing like 9 to 5, something like that. But it was pretty common to do extra hours, or like people were calling me from work by 10 p.m. because there was some issue at the client. So I had to log in remotely and start to solve that problem. So I told you that we tried to do plenty of different jobs, but one at a time. We didn't have like 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. Sometimes I was employed by 2 or different persons, but it was just like I was cleaning houses during the day, and by the end of the day, for an hour, I had to go to a cafe and clean some stuff there. So I used to work like 5 to 6 hours maximum per day, and everything else I have time for myself or to work on my own projects like the YouTube thing, and more recently on my video production business. So yeah, we kind of had like a pretty good balance between work, leisure, and studies. We try to do a little bit different of what most Brazilians, at least Brazilians and South Americans, do. We know people that left Brazil with the same idea of us, like, we are working too much, but when they came to Australia, they keep working that much, you know?
So what do you think, why people do that? Like for you, like what do you think people work like this?
I think it's more because back in Brazil, the more you work, the more rewarded you are. Feels like the companies, they will value more if you work more. And when you convert Brazilian reals for dollars, it's a huge improvement. For example, if you earn $1, it's like 3.5 times what you are earning in Brazil, you know? So imagine that you are going from a place that you are underpaid to somewhere that you get decently paid, which is Australia. People get so excited of having been paid in dollars, and they get kind of blind for all the other aspects of life, and they just see the money and they keep chasing that crazily because I need to save money, I need to make a fortune, and blah blah blah, and that kind of thing, and work, but they don't enjoy their lives.
You said people are working, blah blah. Yeah, I understand that. So if someone is gonna pack their bags as well to do the same thing that you did, or Brazilian, it doesn't have to be Brazilian, like moving to a new country, everything. What advice will you tell that person? What will you say, like from your own experience now, the places you've been, your time in Australia, yeah, your time in Europe, everything. Someone wanna make that move. What advice would you give that person?
The first thing that I would say is you have to be well planned, especially talking about financially. You have to be well planned for at least like 3 months. You have to have like the condition to get in the new country, set up your things, find a place to stay, and be prepared to the worst, which is not having a job for at least 3 months. It will hardly happen that you won't get a job, especially talking about Australia, but it can happen because I've seen it happen before. And if you don't have that money during these 3 months, you're totally f***ed. And the other thing, it's kind of the opposite. If you wait too much for the perfect condition to start living your dream, leaving your country, moving to another place, it will never happen. You know, you can't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. So my advice is, if you want to do it, just do it. Start planning, but don't think too much. Plan, but don't plan too much as well. If you start to think about the what ifs, you won't start nothing. And one last advice for those who are trying a new life in another country is don't expect too much, because you're gonna be disappointed. For example, I've seen so many people coming from Brazil to Australia, and they get disappointed so fast because everyone sells a dream. Especially you can find many influencers, many YouTubers, study exchange agencies, they sell a dream to you. They say, oh, as soon as you step into Australia, you get a job. It's not like that. The reality is way different than that. The first 3 months, they are the hardest ones because you have to run after a house, you have to run after a job, there's the language barrier, and it's so difficult. If you don't have like a good mental health, you go crazy super fast and you get depressed, you start crying, you start thinking about going back to Brazil, but that's just because you were thinking that everything is going to be perfect as soon as you step into the new country, and that's not happened.
Yeah, I know, man. What a advice, man. But exactly what you said is true, because like it's the same thing with us Africans as well. Yeah, what the media show you is not what you see.
Yeah,
they want you to see this, blah blah blah. Like, well, there's certain things where it's good and it's bad, but they don't show you these things. They don't show the good things as well. So either way, it's both the same. So now let me ask you this here: what makes you pack your bag for this new adventure?
Bali, you say, right?
Yeah, man, because like Melbourne weather, it's okay. I know the weather is up and down. Sometimes 5 minutes the weather is good, next minute then you just pack the bag. You say, no what? Thanks to Melbourne, let me try something new. So what makes you take this another adventure again?
That was the initial plan. Our plan was to stay in Australia for a couple of years, like 3 years, raise some money enough to do some travels. And remember when I say that we didn't want to have like only 30 days per year to explore a new place. We wished to actually stay and live in a different country for a while to learn the new culture, what they do on their daily basis, So what we are doing now was just part of the plan, especially because one of the biggest motivations that we had to leave Brazil and actually live our dream was because we lost some friends when they were pretty young. I was 26. I lost a big friend of mine in a car accident, and that really shocked me. And after that, I lost another friend of my age who have an aneurysm, and he died. And in 2018, another big friend of mine, she had stomach cancer. She survived. But looking all that happening, it was more like a sign that I had to enjoy my life while I can, instead of just staying, working, and thinking about my career only and just my job and living that miserable life, which is waking up, going to work, getting stuck in the traffic, going back home, sleep, and repeat. And we noticed that after 5 years being in Australia, we were starting to create too many roots in Australia and get so comfortable with the situation that we were living, and we can't do that anymore. That wasn't our plan, and we have to enjoy our lives while we can. Because, I had bladder cancer last year, and I removed the cancer at the beginning of this year. That was another sign that, hey, mate, it's time to go. Go live your life, go live your dream before it's too late. So that's why we decided okay, it's time to go. We need to pack our stuff and just go.
Okay, 100%. You just talk about the bladder cancer, yeah? I wanna ask you this, yeah? Like, when you got that news, how was it for you mentally? Like, you already lost, then you got this news. We all know, like, in the whole world, what cancer can do. Then you got that news. How did you process everything?
That was really hard. It literally destroyed us. You never expect that you're gonna have cancer. Doesn't matter what type of cancer we're talking about. And nobody wants that for themselves and to no one else. The first symptom, I was going to wee right in the morning, and there was just blood. It was extremely scary. I ran to the hospital, and they did some exams, and they find out there was bladder cancer. The first thing that comes to your mind is, I'm gonna die. There's no other thoughts that comes to your mind at the moment that a guy says, oh, okay, you have cancer. And that's when that friend of mine entered in scene, the girl who had stomach cancer, because she survived, and she was fundamental to explain to me how is the process, what you have to expect, and she gave me so much support in that aspect, which helped me a lot to face that problem and to actually recover myself and succeed in the surgery, I guess.
Man, thank God everything works out, because when you messaged me, I was like, no way. But thank God everything works out. So now I want to ask you this question. What next? What's next for you and your wife? What's next in the book?
Planning to do more things related to my video business, not just get more clients either here or even in Australia, but I'm planning to do other stuff that I can't reveal right now. I can reveal to you later, but
okay.
And in the future, we're planning to actually move to Japan and live in Japan, not going back to Brazil anymore.
Okay, man, what a journey, man. But okay, to summarize everything before I let you go, yeah, with everything you just said, your ups and downs, the traveling, I keep coming again. Now someone wanna grab the bag again, do exactly what you did, moving, try to experience life, because like I 100% agree with what you said, because this life, you never know what's gonna happen the next day, because you need to explore.
Exactly.
You need to live your life. You live the life you wanna live, enjoy, because you don't know what's gonna happen. But for you now, yeah, your piece of advice to whoever is gonna do exactly what you did, or trying to do something different, what advice will you give to summarize everything?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same of leaving Brazil to come to Australia or to live in a new country. You have to plan ahead, but you don't have to plan that much. You don't have to think in the what ifs. Just do what you want to do. Obviously, study the place that you're planning to go. You have to have a plan B. For example, we do have enough resources to buy a flight ticket back to Brazil if something very, very wrong happens. I think that's the most secure thing that you can have at your back when you're trying to do this, because it is nice, it is fun, but it's risky. You have to be prepared to any situation. It doesn't matter if it's an accident, it's a disease or something, or I don't know, your savings are gone. You have to be prepared to those situations. As long as you're prepared to those situations, you're fine. Just go and enjoy the adventure. You enjoy your life, you know? You won't be prepared enough, but you have to be prepared as much as you can.
Yeah, what an advice, man. Ryan, thanks for this conversation. But before I let you go, yeah, I always ask my guests about what's the sign means beyond the shift. For you, what beyond the shift means to you?
Beyond the shift for me is everything that is behind what we showed to the world. For example, it's like an iceberg. You just see the tip of the iceberg out of the water, but under the water there's a huge block of ice. It's exactly the same with what you do of what I'm doing. There are many sacrifices that I have to do, countless times that I have to refuse to hang out with my friends, hang out with my family, because I was saving money to what I'm planning to do. I had to work very, very hard to save some money to do what I'm doing. Countless hours of studying. It's not a fairy tale that everything happens like magic, you know? For me, that's the main meaning of Beyond the Shift, because moving to another country was a shift in my life, but behind that, there was plenty of stuff that I had to do and sacrifice. And that thing many people don't see, because that's not what we show in our Instagram, in our YouTube channel, Facebook, and whatever, any other social media.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool, brother. So now, if people want to contact you, so how can they contact you? So yeah, say, hey man, I want to contact this guy, like editing and stuff. So how people can contact you if they want to contact you?
I do have two Instagram accounts. One is the rightshot.productions, which is my video business. If you want to do any photography or video services, either editing or creating something for your business, I'm here to help. And there's another one, which is Trips ao Pobre. It's quite tricky for English speakers to say that, but
Portuguese,
yeah, it's a mix of Portuguese and Spanish. But yeah, that's where we share our adventures, more like personal stuff. And you can see all what we are doing, where we are, which country we are at the moment, what we are doing. And yeah, that's pretty much those two social medias.
Okay, no worries. All right, guys, I'm gonna drop it down the link so you guys can find this guy. My brother, I appreciate you, man. Like, thanks for opening up. Thanks for sharing your journey. But
yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
It's a journey. I wish you all the best. Pick up again. Don't worry, I'm gonna come to Brazil. You know, we're gonna do the Brazilian barbecue.
Oh yes, that's the best.
That's the best. Yeah, that's the best. Oh, guys, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Once again, I'm Eric. This is Beyond the Shift. Peace out. Let's hold you. Catch you next time.